Well guys, I just picked up a new vehicle, which means it's time to start my next project. If you want to know what it is, I'll give you a little hint.
Hey, kids, keep it down back there.
Huh? Let me get it into the shop and I'll show you guys what I got. What we've got here is a 2009 Bluebird Microbird, also known as a short bus. Let me show you around it. Now this particular short bus is basically a 3500 series GMC van. It is powered by an LY6 6-liter V8 engine mated to what I believe is the 4L85E transmission. It might be the 80, but I think they put the 85 in the 3500 series and their coach bodies. Now this particular one has 134,000 miles on it. It has a meticulous service record, and as far as I can tell, absolutely everything front to back is in perfect working order, which means one thing. We must chop it all up into itty bitty pieces. Let me tell you the plan for it. So I'm going to be turning this school bus into a custom ice cream truck. Now, I'm not the first person to take a school bus and turn it into an ice cream truck. Usually when people do that, they just put a service window on the side and then paint it a different color. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to remove the entire body. Basically, everything you see that is yellow will be removed, leaving us with just the frame, engine, transmission, steering assembly, brakes, that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to take a vintage International pickup cab, take that cab, put it on top of the frame, giving us a very old looking truck with new guts underneath. And then I'm going to build a custom box in the back that will be similar in style to the box that was on the back of my custom pizza truck that I made last winter, except in this case, we'll be serving ice cream instead of pizzas out of it. Now, the first thing I need to do is start to strip off all of this body. So let's get to it. Alright guys, fast forward a little bit because I do have a large portion of the interior removed. I didn't film it because it's very dark in here and hard to film, and it's very boring, mostly just fishing wires through places and then removing all of the stupid little plastic clips on the trim. I've got that large switch thingy that was right here for the bus. That's now over here. Hooked up to this cable that then still runs into the body, but it is separate from the van. So I should be able to separate the bus from the van very soon, at least electrical wise. It has been disconnected. The next step is going to be the mechanical bits. You see, when GM ships this van to the facilities, where is it? In Fort Valley, Georgia. They get the van and then they use a Sawzall to basically start chopping the van wherever they want it in order to bolt it directly up to the body that they've already built. So you see they use a bunch of self-tapping bolts right here. And then on this side, they do have to cut the van obviously a little bit farther because you're not using the van portion right here. So they Sawzall it here. Same thing, a bunch of self-tapping bolts all the way through to the Bluebird body. On the bottom here, I'm still trying to figure out exactly where the van ends and the bus begins because I want to make the separation of the two as simple as possible. I don't want to just go crazy with a saw. I want to basically separate the bus properly. That way, once the bus body is actually removed, we've got the van right here, and then I'll slowly cut into the van, removing as much as is necessary in order to get the frame and all of the drivetrain guts and everything that actually makes it work underneath the old vintage pickup truck body. So let's keep going. Guys, I want to show you something very interesting and maybe a little scary. I think I may have found the origin of the coronavirus. Look at this little guy. Don't worry. I can hold it because I've already gotten sick. Tell me that doesn't look like the coronavirus. All right, guys, we are just about ready to try to remove this bus body from the van chassis. I went ahead and did some things off camera, mostly underneath here, like removing all of the body bolts from the bus. I then verified that all of the bolts were removed by lifting up with a jack the bus body from the back and then again from the front. As I was lifting it up, you could see it separating between the frame, and then I kind of just looked around to see if there was an air gap the entire way. There was. I was a little bit nervous. Maybe I was missing a bolt or two between like the van and the bus right there. Everything seems to be good to go. I believe I have the entire electronic setup for the bus disconnected. If this is like most of the times where I do a body swap, there will be a ground or two that I'm missing. I did make sure that our fuel filler neck is not connected to the body anymore. There's only 3 bolts. I removed those 3 bolts, plopped it down through there, screwed the cap back on, so we should be good to go. I did go ahead and start this up. It seemed like there's no issues, so it is starting and running no problem. I put the seat back in there so that I can hop in, drive it out this door, and then I'm going to back it in on this side over here where we have our 9,000 pound lift. All right, we've got the bus in here. Things are looking good. It ended up just about where I thought it was going to be, right here. Now, gosh, it's really hard to tell where the center of gravity is going to be on this thing. It seems like if you look at the very front right there and you look at the very back right there, this is just about the middle. But remember, this back section, it has that heavy door and the entire thing is steel and glass. And then up in the front here, the bottom section ends right about here, and then there's nothing on the front, nothing on the other side, and then this whole top section is fiberglass. So my best guess is that the center is probably going to be right where that black line ends. Now, what I was thinking about doing in order to fit these arms underneath there is removing the outer tires on the dually so that the arms can squeeze in and then lift it as it is. But I think it'll be a lot quicker if I just open up this door right to about there, roll it forward until I can get the arms underneath it, and then lift it up and then drive it away. The only downside is it's like, I don't know, 25 degrees outside, and so I don't want to have that door open for too long, but I think that will end up being quicker. So I'm going to try that. We'll get the door opened, we'll roll this forward a little bit, and as quickly as possible, we'll get this lifted up. Hopefully we won't have any issues, and then we can drive this thing away. I told my wife this would take 30 minutes. It is 2 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day, and I am supposed to make the turkey pot pie and Austin's world famous mac and cheese for the kiddos, and I told her I would start cooking at 2. So I bought myself until 2:30, so we actually have to do this in 30 minutes. So let's get to it. All right, we are ready to start attempting the lift. I have all 4 arms on the body securely. I will just go incrementally, little bit by little bit, trying to see if there is anything connecting the two. Hopefully there is not. We have, gosh, what is that? Maybe 3.5 feet or so before we hit that bar up there. It is going to be a little bit tight to make sure that this arm fully clears it. I have to lift it up high enough so that that tire can roll all the way out. So we will be very, very close. So let's see how well this works. All right, guys, we did it. We got the body in. We got the chassis in. It is 2:35. It took us 35 minutes to do that. That's not bad. 5 minutes late. Now I have to go make a turkey pot pie and my world famous mac and cheese. Alright guys, so earlier I had told you that I was planning on using a vintage International truck cab for this project. The plans changed a little bit along the way because at the time I had already bought the International but I hadn't bought the school bus. I was planning on using an Isuzu NPR for the chassis, which is much more narrow than the school bus and would have fit underneath the International perfectly. Once I actually got these two vehicles side by side, I realized that the school bus was much wider and it would be a lot easier to use a wider truck rather than modify the International extensively. Now, since the International was already on the property, it was the perfect vehicle to drop the school bus onto the chassis so that I can then pull it out of the shop and then just kind of wait until springtime, where I will then be turning this school bus into a custom treehouse for my kids. If you want to follow along with that project, I will be doing that on my other channel called the Homestead Thread. As for the ice cream truck, I was able to source another truck that had the perfect width cab, and I will pull it into the shop as soon as this International is out of here. All right, guys, this is the truck that we will be using for the front end of our ice cream truck. It is a 1958 Ford F350. It is essentially the same cab as an F250 or an F100 of that same generation. Now, the next step is going to be disassembling the Ford and then cutting out the inner firewall so that I can lift the cab over our school bus chassis. But to watch that, you'll have to wait for the next episode because that's all the time I've got today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.